Hello my beautiful friends, let's start with today's stories, The Lion and the Hare. Once upon a time a fierce lion terrorized the forest by killing animals mercilessly even when he was not hungry. Finally, the scared animals approached the lion, proposing that they would send one animal to him daily if he stopped killing animals for fun. The lion agreed but warned them, "If you promise to offer an animal a day, I shall not lay a paw on the rest. If you fail, I will kill every animal." The animals agreed. They chose one unlucky animal every day and sent it to the lion. One day the animals chose a hare. The hare walked towards the lion's den as slowly as possible. The hungry lion roared when he saw the hare, "You alone can't satisfy my hunger. Now I will eat you and then attack other animals for not fulfilling their promise. Why are you so late?" The hare replied timidly, "O mighty lion, 4 hares were sent to satisfy your hunger, but on our way we met another lion. He ate my friends and left me alive to convey a message to you. He said that he is the new king of the jungle and has challenged you to a fight." The lion became furious and asked him to escort him to the other lion. The hare took him to a well. When the lion peeped inside, he saw his own reflection. Thinking it was the other lion, he started roaring. The roar echoed. The lion thought that the other lion was roaring back at him. To teach the other lion a lesson, he jumped into the well and drowned. The animals thanked the hare for getting rid of the lion. The moral of this story is, gather all the facts before believing what you are told. Now let's go to the next story, The Blue Jackal. A hungry jackal was wandering in a village in search of food. A group of dogs spotted him and chased him to attack him. The scared jackal somehow managed to run away from the dogs and entered a hut. He hid inside a tub which was filled with blue dye. When he emerged from the tub, his body was dyed blue. He no longer looked like an ordinary jackal. The dogs were terrified when they spotted the blue jackal and ran away from him. Confused, the jackal came back to the forest. Even the animals of the forest were scared and ran away from him. The confused jackal went to the pond to drink water and saw his reflection. The jackal realized that all the animals feared him because of his color. He then came up with a cunning plan to rule over the animals in the forest. He approached the animals and said, "Friends, don't be afraid of me. God has sent me to protect you. I am your new king. Thus, you must follow my command." The jackal allotted all animals specific duties. Small animals would cater to his general needs, whereas lions and tigers would hunt for prey. He fooled the animals for a long time. But one day, he heard a pack of jackals howling at a distance while he was surrounded by other animals. Out of habit and natural instinct, he started howling like those jackals. Everybody realized that he was a mere jackal and had fooled them all along. The jackal realized his mistake, but it was too late. The furious animals surrounded him and punished him severely. The moral of the story is, it is difficult to hide one's true nature for a long time. Next, go to the next story, The Naive Camel. There was once a lion who ruled a jungle. He was served by a crow, a leopard, and a jackal. One day they saw a camel who had wandered away from his caravan. The lion was furious to know more about the camel as he had not seen one before. The crow replied, "This is a camel master. They live in villages. Their flesh is delicious. We should prey on him." The lion refused and said, "We won't prey on him. He is our guest." Everybody agreed to follow the lion's command and promised not to attack the camel. The lion promised the camel, "You are welcome to my jungle. Feel free to live here. I will protect you." Thus, the camel lived in peace with the other wild animals. One day, the lion got severely injured in a fight and thus couldn't hunt for several days. When the lion grew weak, the jackal tried to persuade him to eat the camel. The lion refused to break his promise. The cunning jackal suggested to the lion, "You are not bound by your promise if the camel voluntarily offers himself as prey." And the lion agreed. He approached the other animals and said, "Our king is weak. It is our duty to offer ourselves to him and pay our debts." The crow, the jackal, and the leopard offered themselves to the lion, but he refused to eat them. The naive camel thought that he too should impress the lion since he wasn't eating anyone anyway. He said to the lion, "Oh master, you can eat me. This way I can repay my debt for living here." The lion smiled and attacked the camel. After killing the camel, the cunning animals feasted on his meat for several days. The moral of the story is, never trust cunning and powerful people. Now let's go to the next story. The Lion and the Carpenter. A carpenter once befriended a lion in the forest and invited him for lunch. The lion agreed and went to the carpenter's house at the edge of the forest. The carpenter presented several dishes to the lion, who enjoyed them all. The carpenter said to the lion, "You can dine with me every day, but you must come alone." The lion agreed. They met every day and the lion eventually gave up hunting. One day a jackal and a crow asked the lion why he no longer hunted. He told them that he was dining with a friend whose wife cooked delicious food. The lion invited them to meet the carpenter. Seeing the lion with other animals, the carpenter and his wife climbed a tall tree. The carpenter said to the lion, "You broke your promise. We won't be friends anymore." The moral of the story is, learn to honor your word. How are you all? I hope you are doing well. Let's start with today's stories. The Bull and the Greedy Jackals. Once a bull was wandering all alone in the forest. One day a jackal's wife saw the bull drinking water from a river. The jackal's wife said to her husband, "Look at that healthy bull. I think he will taste good. I'm sure a lion or tiger will kill the bull and we can eat whatever they leave behind. We must follow him. It is not certain that a lion or tiger will kill this bull today. If we follow him, then we might not get a chance to hunt any other animals. We will remain hungry," replied the jackal. The jackal's wife was adamant and finally the jackal agreed to follow the bull. They followed the bull for a week, but no animal attacked the bull. In the end, they both gave up and went back to hunt for small animals. The moral of the story is, greed makes a man blind and foolish. The next story. The Trapper and the Doves. Once a flock of doves was flying in the sky searching for food. They spotted some scattered rice near a banyan tree. The wise leader of the doves cautioned them, "Stop! It can be a trap. Who dropped these grains in this open land?" The doves did not listen to their leader and landed on the ground to eat the grains. While they were eating, a net fell on them, and to their shock, they were all trapped. In a panic, the doves started blaming each other for their misfortune. The trapper was happy to catch so many birds. He went back to his house to fetch a large bag. The leader spoke calmly. "There is no need to fight or panic. I have a plan to escape if you are willing to listen to me." The doves calmed down and decided to follow the advice of their leader. The leader suggested to the doves, "Each one of you must pick a position in the net. Then we must fly together in coordination, carrying the net with us." All the doves followed his lead and flapped their wings together. The trapper watched helplessly as they flew away with the net. He ran after them, but it was futile. Soon he lost track of the birds. The doves reached a hill and their leader said, "Let's land here. I have a friend who can help us." A mouse came out of his hole when he saw the doves. The leader of the doves said to the mouse, "My friend, can you set us free from the net?" The mouse gone at the net with his sharp teeth and soon set him free. The doves thanked the mouse and flew away. The moral is, we are stronger when we work together. The next story, The Tortoise and the Swans. Once a tortoise was friends with two swans. They lived near a lake. During summer, when the lake started to dry, the swans decided to fly to a new place. The tortoise begged his friends to take him with them as well. The swans replied, "How will you come with us? You can't fly." "Let's find a large stick. I will hold the middle of the stick tightly with my mouth. You can hold the two ends with your beaks and fly," said the tortoise. The swans agreed to his plan and said, "But remember, you must not open your mouth at any cost." The tortoise agreed. As they were flying over a village, the villager praised the swans for their clever plan. The angry tortoise opened his mouth to explain that it was his plan. He crashed to the ground and died. The sad swans flew away. The moral is, never ignore your friend's advice. The next story, Three Fishes. One day, a group of fishermen came across a pond. One of them pointed to the pond and said, "Let's return tomorrow and catch some fish in this pond." Three fishes swimming close to the surface heard them. Terrified, the first fish immediately announced, "I am leaving this pond along with my family right now." The second fish agreed with the plan. The third fish argued, "Don't be a coward. This pond has always been safe for us. There is no need to shift from this pond to another. I don't believe that the fishermen will catch us." Most of the fishes agreed with the first fish and traveled to a new pond through a small outlet. A few fishes agreed with the third fish and stayed behind. The next morning, the fishermen came back to the pond and caught all the fishes in that pond. The moral of the story is, it is important to act when you foresee a problem. The first story is The Old Lion and the Fox. Once an old lion living in the forest grew very sick and was unable to hunt. He then thought of a wicked plan to find food. He spread the word that he was ill and will remain in his cave. He then went back to his cave and waited at the entrance. Many animals went to the cave to inquire about the lion's health. The lion invited them inside and killed them. One day the lion saw a fox waiting outside the cave. "You should come inside and pay me your respects," said the lion to the fox. "My lord, I see many animals' footprints going into the cave, but none coming outside." "I will not step inside the cave," replied the cunning fox. The fox went back to the forest and warned the other animals about the lion. The moral of the story is, be alert to your surroundings. The next story, The Jealous Donkey. There was once a farmer who had a dog and a donkey. The dog used to guard his property and the donkey used to ferry goods for the farmer. The farmer was fond of his dog. Whenever he came home from work, the dog would jump on his lap and bark happily. The farmer would pet the dog affectionately. The donkey grew jealous because the farmer never pampered him. So the next day he decided to behave like a dog. When the farmer came home from work, he ran up to him and tried jumping onto his lap. The donkey even licked the face of his master and brayed loudly. The farmer was surprised by the odd behavior. He pushed the donkey away and started beating him with a stick. The donkey ran back to the stable and never behaved like a dog again. The moral of the story is, jealousy makes a fool of a person. The next story, The Wolf and the Dog. There was once a wolf who was starving. He saw a plump pet dog who had ventured into the woods. The wolf asked the dog if he could share his food with him. "My friend, if you work for a master as I do, you will never starve. I can help you get work. Come with me. You will be looked after well," said the dog. The wolf agreed and they left for the village. On their way, the wolf noticed shaved skin around the neck of the dog. He asked him, "Why are there bruises around your neck?" "This is nothing. It happened because of the collar that the master used to chain me with every night. You will get used to it," said the dog. On hearing this, the wolf said, "Goodbye, my friend. I will starve, but I won't be a slave." The moral of the story is, never compromise on your freedom. The next story, The Flea and the Bug. A flea once lived in a silk sheet covering a king's bed. She would feed on his blood only when he was fast asleep. Hence the king never noticed. One day the flea saw a bug in the king's bedroom and said, "You must leave before the king's servant catches you. I am your guest. You should treat me better. I am here because I have never tasted the king's blood," complained the bug. So the flea agreed to let him feed and said, "Your bite is nasty. You should only feed when the king is asleep." The bug agreed. When the king entered the room, the bug couldn't control himself and bit him. The king noticed the bite and asked his servants to search the bed. The bug quickly hid under the bed, but the servants found the flea and killed her. The moral is, one should not trust strangers and their false promises. The next story, The Elephant and the Sparrows. 2 sparrows built a nest on a branch and a female sparrow laid eggs in it. One hot summer, an elephant went mad and rammed into their tree. The sparrows managed to fly, but the eggs fell to the ground and shattered. The sparrows cried and sought the help of their friend, the woodpecker. The woodpecker said, "I know a frog and a fly who could help." The frog explained his plan. The fly will buzz in the elephant's ear to annoy him. Then the woodpecker will turn him blind by pecking at his eyes. I will sit near a pit and croak. When he hears me, the elephant will think that he is near water and will jump inside the pit. All of them agreed to the plan. Everything went as planned. The blind elephant fell into the pit and never hurt anyone again. The moral is, teamwork can help us overcome huge obstacles. The next story, The Cunning Jackal. A female camel and her calf wandered into the forest. A lion, a wolf, and a jackal attacked the camel and killed her. The lion took pity on the cub and spared his life. The camel grew up in the forest and became an advisor to the lion. One day, the lion fell sick and could not hunt. So, the cunning jackal approached the camel and said, "O camel, you must offer yourself to the lion to receive a blessing. This sacrifice will give you twice the body you have after rebirth." The foolish camel agreed. He went to the lion and offered himself. The lion killed the camel. The cunning jackal said to the lion, "You must take a bath and worship the gods before eating the camel so that you will be blessed in your next life." The lion liked the suggestion and went to take a bath. The cunning jackal enticed the wolf. "You can take a bite of the camel meat if you want. I will not say anything to the lion." The greedy wolf sunk his teeth in the camel's body. When the camel returned, the cunning jackal shouted, "I warned you not to touch the camel, but you didn't listen." The lion was furious with the wolf. Terrified, the wolf ran away. Suddenly, a big caravan of camels was passing through the forest. The jackal said, "Oh master, this caravan is led by the god of death. Surely he must be angry with you for killing the camel in an ill-timely manner. You should run away and hide." The jackal laughed when the lion ran for his life. He ate the camel all by himself. The moral is, we must leave the company of the wicked. Friends, so today I am back with a lot of meaningful stories for you. So let's get started. The first story is The Monkey and the Wedge. A long time ago, a merchant hired several carpenters and masons to build a temple. One day, a group of monkeys arrived at the site and watched the carpenters work. They started playing with the tools once the carpenter left for lunch. A carpenter had left a huge pile of wood at the construction site. The log was half split with a wedge in between to prevent it from closing up. One of the monkeys was looking at it very intently. "What is this thing? Looks interesting," thought the monkey. The monkey grabbed the wedge and started to pull it. The wedge came out and the log closed in. The monkey got stuck between the half-split log and was seriously injured. The moral of the story is, don't meddle in other people's affairs. The next story is The Jackal and the Drum. Once a hungry jackal was wandering around the forest in search of food. The wind blew hard and the jackal heard a strange noise echoing in the forest. The jackal was scared and thought, "I must run back home before I get into trouble. What if someone is hiding behind the trees?" He was about to retreat and run when he contemplated, "Why am I running from something that I haven't even seen? I must carefully find the source of the noise." Gathering all his courage, he stepped forward. He saw the branch of a tree brushing against a small drum every time the wind blew hard. He took a sigh of relief and continued searching for food. The moral of the story is, in order to tide through life's challenges, practice being brave. The next story is The foolish sage. There was once a sage. He trusted nobody and thus kept all his money in a bag which he carried all the time. A crook observed the sage with his bag and decided to rob him. He approached the sage and said, "Guruji, please guide me in my misery." The sage accepted him as his disciple but did not trust him with the bag. However, the crook was able to gain the sage's trust with his sweet words and praise. One day, the sage said, "Guard my bag while I take my bath in the river." The crook agreed happily. The moment the sage entered the river, the thief stole the bag and ran away. When the sage came back, he could see neither his disciple nor his bag. The sage realized that his disciple was a fraud and went home disappointed. The moral of the story is, do not believe the sweet words of a swindler. The next story is the Jackal and the Rams. One afternoon, a sage was passing through the forest when he saw two rams fighting with each other. They were both severely injured. Blood was oozing out from their heads, but they still kept on fighting with each other. A greedy jackal came out of the woods and noticed all the blood on the ground. He started licking the blood, not caring about the fighting rams. The sage thought to himself, "What a foolish jackal! The life is in jeopardy due to his greed." The jackal kept on licking the blood from the ground and did not notice the rams approaching him at high speed. Suddenly, the ram smashed into the jackal and injured him severely. The moral of the story is, greed always leads to misery. The next story, The Crows and the Cobra. Two crows built a small nest on a huge banyan tree. The she-crow laid a few eggs in the nest. The crows did not know that a black cobra lived in the hollow of the banyan tree. The crows were shocked when the cobra slithered towards their nest and ate all their eggs. The grief-stricken crows went to seek advice from a jackal who lived nearby. They narrated their problem to the jackal. The jackal advised them, "You should plan your revenge against the cobra. Even the most powerful enemies can be defeated with wit." The jackal explained his plan. "You both should fly to the city and find a house where people are wealthy yet careless. Find something valuable lying around their house. Pick it up. When the servants are watching, the servants will follow you to retrieve the object. When you return, drop the object near the hollow of your tree." The crows took his advice and flew to the city. They spotted the queen and her servants swimming in a lake. Their jewelry was lying on the bank. One of the crows went to pick up a necklace. The servants saw the crow stealing the necklace and alerted the soldiers. As expected, the royal soldiers followed the crows. The crow dropped the necklace near the hollow of the tree and flew back to their nest. The surprised cobra came out of the hollow and attacked the soldiers. The soldiers killed the cobra swiftly. They retrieved the necklace and went back to the city. The crows thanked the jackal for getting rid of their mortal enemy. The crows lived happily ever after. The moral of the story is, even the most powerful enemies can be defeated with the use of wit. I hope you all are doing very well. So now it's time to read yet another interesting stories. So let's get started. The first story is The Mouse and the Sage. A sage once lived in a hut near a temple. One day a mouse entered the sage's hut and started living there. He started stealing the food that the sage brought into the hut. The sage tried to hide the food, but the mouse always found it. One day, a scholar came to meet the sage. During their discussion, the scholar noticed that the sage was distracted. The scholar angrily said, "It seems you are not interested in hearing my opinions. You are preoccupied with some other important thought. I should leave." The sage apologized for his behavior and pointed to the mouse. "Look at that mouse. No matter how high I keep the bowl of food, he can always reach. He has been tormenting me for weeks." The scholar understood the problem and advised, "The mouse can jump so high because he is very strong and confident. He must have stored a lot of food somewhere. We must find his hideout." The sage and the scholar followed the mouse and found the hole where he had stored the food. They dug the hole and removed all the food. The mouse grew weak as he was left with no food. He tried to find more food but did not succeed. Slowly he lost his confidence. Left with no option, he entered the sage's hut and tried to steal food from the bowl. However, he failed to reach the bowl. The sage hit him with a cane. The injured mouse was forced to flee from the hut and find a new place. The moral is, strike at the enemy's source of strength to defeat him. Let's go to the next story. The Unteachable Monkeys. Once a group of monkeys got drenched in rain during winter. They were shivering in the cold when one of the monkeys found fireflies and thought they were fire embers. To start a fire, they started blowing on them. On a nearby tree, a bird was watching the vain attempts of the monkeys. She yelled, "You are wasting your time by trying to make a fire out of fireflies. You must go and find a cave to protect yourself from the cold." The monkeys ignored her advice and one of them said, "Don't interfere. Go away." Despite being ignored by the monkeys, the bird flew down to them. She tried to convince them that they must find shelter soon. One of the monkeys got frustrated and fiercely smashed the bird against the ground. The bird was severely injured. The moral of the story is, never advise fools. Now, next story, The Results of Education. A cruel bandit caught 2 parrots in the forest. While returning home, one of the parrots escaped and flew away and found shelter in a sage's house. A few years later, a king lost his way and reached the bandit's hut in the forest. The parrot in the bandit's house shouted, "A rider approaching the house! Catch him and kill him!" The king swiftly changed his course and rode in the other direction. He then reached the sage's house, where the second parrot politely said, "Please come inside and rest. We will arrange for some fresh fruits." The surprised king replied, "I recently saw a parrot just like you, but he spoke to me quite rudely." The parrot then narrated the story of how he got separated from his twin brother. The king said, "A good education has given you good manners. Your brother's foul speech is the result of bad education." The moral is, Good education lays down the foundation for a good character. The next story, The Foolish Friend. There lived a foolish monkey who was very dear to the king. He was treated like a royal and could roam freely in the palace. Most of the time, he would stay with the king. One day, the king was sleeping in his bedroom while the monkey kept watch. Suddenly, a fly appeared in the king's bedroom and sat on the king's chest. When the monkey saw her, he tried to shoo her away, but every time he would do that, the fly would return to the king's chest. Furious, the monkey took a sword and chased the fly around the bedroom. Once again, the fly sat on the king's chest. The monkey tried to hit the fly with all his strength. The king woke up severely injured by the sword. The unharmed fly flew out of the window. The moral of the story is, a foolish friend can cause more harm than an enemy. Next story, The Bird with Two Heads. There lived a strange, rare bird with two heads and one body. Once, while roaming around the forest, one of the heads saw a tempting fruit. He started eating the fruit, but then the other head interrupted and said, "The fruit looks delicious. Give me a bite." "I was the one to spot the fruit, and I won't share," snapped the first head. The second head didn't argue, but he was disappointed. A few days after that, while passing through the forest, the second head saw a poisonous fruit and thought of taking revenge. "I will eat this fruit because you insulted me the other day," he said. The first head pleaded him not to eat the fruit as they share a common stomach. But the second head ate the fruit. The poisonous fruit killed the bird. The moral of the story is, united we stand, divided we fall. The next story, An Excellent Bargain. One day, a poor priest told his wife, Chandeli, that she should invite a guest to their house and serve him food. Chandeli thought, "I have some cheap sesame seeds. I can use them to cook a dish for the guest." So she cleaned the sesame seeds and removed the husks. Then when she went to do the household chores, a dog came and soiled the seeds. Chandeli looked at the seeds and lamented, "These are all I had. Perhaps I can trick my neighbor into exchanging these with clean seeds." She went to her neighbor and said, "My friend, I offer you clean and unhusked sesame seeds in exchange for your husked ones." The neighbor agreed, but her son interrupted, saying, "There must be something wrong with the seeds. Who exchanges unhusked seeds for husked seeds?" The neighbor took her son's advice and Chandeli returned home disappointed. The moral of the story is, judge every offer carefully. See you in the next video.